So last month you might have seen me vlog a book called Chill. This is Shiver, and this is the second book in the series. I don't know what the series, if it has a series name or not. I can tell you that this isn't listed as book 2 on Goodreads. And even at the time when I finished reading Chill, I was like, this reads like it's part of a series, but I don't remember that being the case, and it is. So we are continuing with the adventures of these children at Danad. I would say that my lingering feeling about the first one is that there were things that I liked. The engagement with history as like from the present day was really good, but when it was trying to like be the diary of a girl from the past, it didn't work as well. But they were trying to do like a the past repeats itself thing, and I didn't feel like it worked because one of the brothers was basically a non-entity throughout the book, and it really didn't feel like the brother from the past was, and so I didn't think that worked very well. I'm curious to see whether all 4 of the kids have a role here. And we are a go. This is the best thing you could bring. Really excited for this. Also, we have a wee tree, and it's an actual tree. But at some point today, we have to start Shiver, which feels really fitting considering the video's gone up for Chill today. First impressions of Shiver are that I am disappointed. I don't know, I didn't need them to be like best friends after the first book, and I think it makes more sense for them to still be not really friends, but it also feels like things have been reset rather than this being a continuation in terms of their relationship. I'm like 4 chapters in, so obviously this is just like first impressions, but yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. The first chapter was just like a very perfunctory, oh, let's get everyone caught up. It's been a year. And I don't know, which is kind of weird given what I'm going to say, in that I think it's weird that there are only 2 books. Obviously, this might not have been that popular, but I don't know if I believe that. But I don't have my copy with me, but like, you could fit so many mysteries and hauntings in this bad boy. Why are there only 2? I think, yeah, no. It's just, it's a bit too early to tell, but it could have gone better. There's just something in the way that it was like, oh, Charles is, does his computer things like downloading music to put on his iPod, just like the phrasing of it. This is probably like just on that cusp when things started happening, and I really like the way that it's incorporating what would you even call that again? Yeah, not Poltergeist 3. Just technology in general, we'll say. Like the electrics and the computer is actually a really, really nice moment. And we've finally got Sebastian dragged into the whole adventure, which is interesting, and it keeps giving me things that I want. I don't know, there's just, I feel like the way Charles came round was unnatural. And I know that there is, it does need to keep a pace, and we don't need to get bogged down in like every minute emotion. And yet, it doesn't feel right. I didn't think the other one, at no point reading Chill was I like, this is smooth. But every so often with this one, I'm thinking, that's really quick, or that's not quite hitting right. Just, it's maybe clunky. Maybe, I don't know. There's just something about this one that I don't think is quite working as it should. We have met the ghosts though, and I actually really like them. So I'm curious, because obviously these are much older ghosts, but the other one in the first book was not at all talkative. Okay, so I have kind of gotten a better idea now of what it is that's bothering me. All of the kids go into this secret passage, and there is mention of bringing it up to the mum. But then they come down and they're like, we've got to tell mum. I can't wait to tell her. And then they tell her, and it's immediately like, oh no, what if she sells the house? What if this creeps her out? Which, was mentioned before, but it's like, for even one of the kids to have been like, oh, I'm so excited to tell them, oh no, wait, maybe this is going to have this effect. I think it's just, it feels like there should be a transition between the two, and it's just written like it's taken for granted that she's going to react this way, which, fine, but things have to progress. There has to be connective tissue. I've paused at what feels like a really good bit where I really like this idea of like this ghost who has been really excited to kind of wake up and be back in the world. And, Samuel disappeared to get some wood for the house, and the other kids thought, oh my god, what has this ghost done to him? It's really good, and it's really, like, it's genuinely a painful moment, which I'm really enjoying because I've been very unsure about having the ghosts be interacted with this much. It just feels like such a change from the first one. Not a bad one, but I kind of liked the mysteriousness of it. But I think I'm coming around on this. Also, the kids are finally like a squad. They're not. I do like that there's still difficulties, but I like that we now see who everyone is and their roles and their personalities. And yeah, like I'm rooting for them as like a team, and that's nice. But like, there's that moment earlier on when it was, the ghost encounters were beginning, and it was like, you're writing this like it's a first time thing. And for some of them it is. Even for Charles, I would say, I don't quite remember how the first one went, but I think he was more like experienced the effects of the haunting of like this curse than necessarily like seeing her himself. Although he was definitely, I'm pretty sure he saw something. And it's just like the way it was written, like this is the first time. I just, yeah. Like, it's become easier to read and more enjoyable because, they're a team now, but it's still just like the writing of it just doesn't. I think I even said in like what I read, what I'm reading, what I'll read next, is it kind of feels like, because like the arc of emotion, like there was no arc, it was just like feeling this way and then feeling that way. It kind of feels like there have been different drafts and the pages have just gotten mixed up between them. Like a fool, I have spoiled myself because I picked it up on the wrong side, and I We'll not talk about it at this point, I'll talk about it at the end, but for all that I am enjoying elements of it, I think, yeah, maybe not continuing the series was the better idea, but it still just feels like a waste of potential. So it was about a week ago that I remembered I had forgotten Shiver. But unfortunately, that didn't mean that I had time to pick it back up. We kind of stopped off with this big search, and like the moment I started reading it again, I was like interested and I was reading it really easily. I think it's a little bit of shame that Sebastian gets this one, like just one moment, because he still doesn't quite feel like one of the guys. But I guess he had a lot of like catching up to do. I just I'm enjoying it again now that I'm reading it. I just think I'm not surprised that that happened, and if I were to put this down for another week, I might just forget about it again. Which is fine, you know, like things don't have to be like an age-defining masterpiece. You can read something and just enjoy it in the moment, and then have it kind of fade out after that. That's fine. It's just, yeah, I guess I kind of hoped for more than that. So where I'm currently at is this far. Got this much left. And it's kind of going in a direction that I didn't really want it to. Like I said before, I did kind of spoil myself as to the end, so I knew this was going to happen, but I really felt, you know, this little girl who had died and who has been so alone, and then she overhears the way that these kids are talking about her and she's hurt, and I kind of really hoped that that was going to be the big thing. And there's still time, but it's very much a Sebastian Samuel thing at the moment. I don't know if this was mentioned in the first book, but it's come up a few times in Shiver, so I thought I would show you what the Sheriffmuir Inn actually looks like. I think it's privately owned now, so I don't think you can visit it. But it's very interesting to me that it's, you know, near Dunblane, near Stirling. But to be fair, I have never had a head for geography. So the thing that I thought was a spoiler and didn't want to talk about is on the back of the book, so we're going to talk about it. They move at the end of the book, and it's this happy ending because Chris Morton is like, so I have a friend who has 2 cottages to rent, so we'll get to stay together. And I think that is nice, and I do buy it as being meant to be a happy ending, but for all that Charles kind of came to his senses in the first book, he doesn't really feel part of the friend group. He's more a part of it than Sebastian, who is just like really feels tacked on. But it's Fiona and Samuel, and yeah, that's a happy ending for them, so like fine. But it really messes up the investigative element of the book, because the first one was great at that. This one isn't. This one is trying to balance that with having like the ghosts be present as actual characters and not just like a threat or something seen out the corner of the eye. And like I said, that moment where she was hurt by what they were saying was great. But then they go on to have her be like, you'll just have to wait and see, and it's like this threat, and it's like she's trying to be a threatening figure, but she can't be, because there's too much time spent like investigating her threat, and then her threat doesn't land because the boys get lost in the blizzard, and suddenly, you know, you're talking about like the investigation, you're talking about are they going to survive the night, but also it doesn't strike a balance between sympathetic and hurt child and terrifying figure who might, you know, be bringing a curse down on the house. It doesn't strike any balance there. In the first book, Catherine Morton falls in love with the stable hand, and her father disapproves, it sends him away, and then her brothers come in and, you know, also enforce that. And they're her brothers, but it's also the patriarchy. And I did think it was doing more with like the way that children are made powerless by their parents. And like, kudos to Shiver for actually having like Samuel's mom say, hey, it's unfair, and I know you want to stay in this place and you're completely lost to the whims of your mother who doesn't, but also like I'm renting from her, and so therefore I am also like powerless to her whims. But it's not, because motherhood is like valorized in a way that I just think is really, I just don't like it. Yeah, I don't know what to say other than it just falls apart on every level for me.